Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right. I am John Palacio.
And I'm Marlene Cuellar, and thank you for joining us this morning.
It's a beautiful Wednesday morning out. It is hump day. It is a beautiful Wednesday, Marlene.
That's right.
Yeah, loving the weather.
Second day in February.
Hey, it's the second 2022.
That's right, you know.
Yeah.
It is I know a lot of people into their numbers. They're trying to figure out what number to buy tomorrow or later, I should say. And it's 2222.
That's what it is right now. And make sure that this afternoon at 2:22 p.m. you're making a wish. Huh?
Wow. Okay. I didn't know that.
You know, there are a lot of things out there that when it comes to dates and whatnot, as long as it matches up, people would say that it means something. This is what it means.
It's true though. I was having a discussion yesterday that I didn't even know that on the first of the month there is a tradition. I don't know where it comes from, where you say rabbit, rabbit, rabbit. Don't know what it means, but that's supposed to be like a good omen to start your month.
I know about a game, rabbit, rabbit find a hole. But I never know about a rabbit, rabbit, rabbit.
Don't know.
The first of the month.
Don't know. But I'll set my alarm for 2:22 today, the second of the second month of 2022.
And you make a wish.
And I will. I have a few. How many you get? You get at least two, right?
At least two or three. Yeah, at least 2 or 3. But nonetheless, it's a beautiful morning out, like we mentioned to you. And as per usual, the first order of duty is that we break down to you what had occurred in the newscast last night. There's so many things. There's a political front. You'll find the crime news and whatnot. But most importantly for us right now, Marlene, is the fact that GOB had mentioned yesterday that the borders will be reopened on February 7th.
That's right, next Monday.
Yeah, next Monday. So that's the situation, and a lot of people are actually just gearing up. Even those folks there in our neighboring Chetumal and Mexico, they're actually gearing up.
So the question is, will Los Cocos put new decorations or did they put the old ones in storage and then bring them back?
Well, you know what? They make them, and so probably luckily, you know what? You could give this to the kids and then we'll get some new ones. But, you know, it is for them, and this is my particular point of view. It is for them a very good thing for the fact that they've got a very great economical They've got a big economical benefit from Belizeans going out across there, but there is also a great relationship between Belizeans and, of course, those in Chetumal. It's something that's very prosperous because we feel, and Belizeans feel, you know what? I really want to go to Chetumal.
Yeah.
And folks in Chetumal would tell you, or in Mexico, in southern Mexico, would tell you, I can't wait for you guys to come because this is how we feel when the cruise ship had stopped, coming to Belize. This is exactly what they're feeling now that the borders will be open. You remember the day cruise ship decided, okay, they would reopen that for cruise tourism. We actually had it on the news. It was something that we planned to say, you know what, hey, this is a great thing for us. That's exactly how they're feeling.
Of course, of course. I was thinking about it from the point of the hospitality point of view. When there is Independence Day in the U.S., for example, our hotels here would decorate and they would do, maybe not Independence Day, but when they have Thanksgiving, that's a good time because that's our high season. You know, or promotions are geared towards them. And I know how much there is a push to encourage people, Belizeans, to travel at home. But when you look at how welcoming and inviting they're being to Belizeans,
with piñatas,
that's
must be
right, and or blue, red, and white. It's very inviting. People want to feel like they're welcomed into a space that they're being, that people are looking forward to having them. And I imagine there are going to be a lot of people queuing up those weekends over to
You
Cheddar
tell
Mall.
me, indeed.
What I do hope would happen is that it would encourage people who are hesitant about getting vaccinated to do so.
To do so, exactly.
It's
And
perhaps not the reason that we've been that everyone has been pushing. It helps to keep you safe from severe COVID. But if it's being done to go across the border, hey, they're vaccinated either way.
Marlene, look, at when the vaccines rolled out and you started to get your double doses of vaccines and your boosters, Belizeans were actually saying, look, we've complied. We've done this simply because we know for a fact that, well, primarily MOH, the Ministry of Health and Wellness, was saying, you know what? We need to do this. This is something that we need to do. So we complied and we believed those words. And then Belizeans started to say, hey, why can't we get an incentive?
Yeah.
Why can't we, or who have been vaccinated, stay out until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, you know, things like that. But now this seems to be one of the sweets that you must be fully vaccinated for you to eventually venture off beyond our borders, either western
Land
or,
borders,
of course,
yeah.
land borders actually, or northern borders. So these are the things that we're actually seeing in place. But Marlene, for me, again, personally, there are two sides to this. Because, look, we've been seeing nearly every week in our hotels, and you know, it's hard for you to find one because Belizeans are actually patronizing Belizean resorts and hotels. What's going to happen now that you're able to go on out there because you and your family are actually fully vaccinated? You know, so I'm looking at that side of things as well,
Yeah.
the economical downfall it could have upon our economy.
Yeah.
And, of course, the fact that, hey, you know, new jobs were actually opening, new places were actually opening, and Belizeans were actually getting a lot of jobs.
Well, I do hope there's a healthy balance of both, because right now the tourism season is still in its peak. There's still a lot of international travelers here. The hopes are that that continues. One of the things that happened when or ports of entry was closed is that the hotels had to reduce their rate to make it more accessible for Belizeans. Now, I imagine it wouldn't have been sustainable for a long time, but I do hope that it's a practice that's encouraged moving forward. Some hotels, as I know we've spoken with Stuart Crone from BTIA a few times, some hotels have always had that practice, that if you're a Belizean, you're booking, even in high season, you get that Belizean rate.
Yeah.
I do hope it's a practice moving forward that they acknowledge that we were there for them when they needed us, and if they could maintain that, I think we'll still have people venturing into different parts of the country, and now they have the option of going over the border.
Indeed.
I could, I'd venture to guess too that it's probably going to be one of the better times to go across the border because they're going to be so happy to see you. You'll get 5-star service at a 2-star hotel.
Marlene, you said it. You said it. But it creates for actually competition as well with respect to what we've got here at home and what we could actually get there in Mexico or in Guatemala area. A lot of people are saying, you know what, one of the reasons why I venture off that side, Marlene, is because they've got some great service. I feel like I'm getting bang for my buck. I feel like I'm getting whatever I need. And, you know, so that's exactly how we treat those who come to our country is exactly how folks are actually, Belizeans are actually treated when they venture off into Mexico or to Guatemala. And so these are the things that we must look upon. But like you mentioned, we're hoping that a healthy balance is being struck between what the situation is now and what it's going to be in the near future.
Yeah, and the border reopening, I know is there's been some division, not as much as other issues, but I do think that we have to be practical. A closed border policy is not sustainable.
Yeah, it's not.
That's just not how this was an exceptional time in all of our lives where it was necessary for a matter of public health and safety. And the airports have been open for air travel. It was only a matter of time for the land border to be opened as well. And now we have the official regulations as to who will be allowed to traverse across the border. And there are more details to be defined because I know the issue of testing is one that is still yet to be defined. What we were told early on was that after 2 days, I believe, 2 or 3 days over the border, you would have to retest before you come back in.
Okay.
But we don't have the regulations or the protocol as yet to say that for sure. It'll have to be, because it's much like people who come in from air travel have to test.
Yeah, you have to test.
If you go for more than a day or more than a few days,
Yeah.
you'll probably have to test coming in.
And I think the same thing should apply, that you must test, especially if you go on across for a few days. And speaking of testing, which leads us into one of the another story that came out of the news last night. Our Prime Minister, the Honorable John Briceño, has been diagnosed for the second time with COVID-19.
Yeah, and we should start off by saying, of course, we wish him
All the
a
very
speedy
best, yes.
recovery. It is, he has described it so far to our news team, asymptomatic, so
Asymptomatic.
he's feeling fine. And he tested positive upon his return from Honduras, where he attended the inauguration of the first female Honduran president, President Xiomara Castro. And, we saw him there standing shoulder to shoulder with Vice President of the U.S., Kamala Harris. It was a big occasion for that country, and so he represented us there. But he tested positive on his return, and I understand he's saying he probably contracted it before he left. Because he had a very short visit in Honduras.
So this actually puts into the forefront that even if you are vaccinated, yes, your chances of getting COVID-19 is still there. But what it does when you're vaccinated is actually limit your chances of being severely ill. And we could see that clearly with the Prime Minister, as he's mentioned at this particular point. Even though diagnosed positive with COVID-19 for the second time, he's actually asymptomatic. He has been, what's the word? He has been in his own corner. Isolated, of course. I mean, sometimes it's slip, But he's been isolated, and so therefore...
It's just one of the most used words in Belize right now.
I can tell the word.
Understand it.
But indeed, so that's the situation with him. But it brings the point again, if you'd like to traverse anywhere, it's best for you to be fully vaccinated before you move, And so therefore we need to put these things in place, Marlene. It's very important that we do so.
Well, I think the Prime Minister's reinfection is also critical for us to remember, especially people, who have had COVID before, or perhaps get too comfortable when they're vaccinated and boosted, that they feel that they're going to be safe, that this particular variant doesn't care. It doesn't care if you've had Alpha or Delta. It's saying there's space for me too. It doesn't care if you've been fully vaccinated and boosted. It's still going to come after you too if it makes its way into your body.
Indeed.
So that's what's unique about this particular variant. And so I think he's a prime example of how vulnerable we all are, which is why we have to maintain our protocols. Luckily, or thankfully I should say, because he has taken the steps in being fully vaccinated and boosted, he's able to have a milder version. Not everyone is going to be in that case. And the tricky part about COVID, we still don't know why some people get it worse than others. So it's like your own level of bolido, except it's not luck if your name is pulled that you get severe COVID. It's horrible. So
oh my God.
We have to maintain our protocols. And especially doing what is necessary when we start feeling sick, so we minimize that spread. Going straight into isolation.
Yeah, you go straight into isolation and and try to wait your time out. The thing about Omicron, though, you could actually see that the timings within being infectious and, of course, living with the virus is not as long as that, especially when it started. So we could see that as well. And also, one of the things that we're seeing right now is a down spiral ward of this, our fourth wave of COVID-19. The numbers are actually
I just want to say one more thing about the Prime Minister's COVID status. So it's really interesting. He's attempting, the House meeting continues on Friday.
Oh, yes,
And,
very important.
It is, of course, he's saying that it continues as planned. He'll test before he goes. And if he's negative, he'll proceed to attend. And if he's positive, he'll sit it out. So and then the House meeting will proceed.
Indeed, but like I was saying, the numbers that we're seeing right now, it's actually going down with respect to the daily new cases, detected cases. We're seeing here 719. I mean, that high, Mar. It is high for 719 in 24 hours, but we're also seeing new recoveries being 976 new recoveries. The hospitalizations at 23, that's very high. ICU admission at 6, that's a high number as well. So we want for folks to understand how very important it is for us to continue with the protocol set out to us by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. There are actually vaccination clinics in every nook and cranny of this country. You could get tested, and these things are actually free. There are countries around us who you must have to pay. They're still scrambling to get themselves vaccines. So we need to understand how great we are at this particular point in trying to get this this pandemic under control.
Yeah, I do want to make just a quick clarification about the numbers from yesterday. So we saw over 700 cases.
719.
719. That is the total number of persons who tested positive on February 1st and the total number of confirmed PCR cases from Saturday to February 1st because it wasn't included in yesterday's data. So. You know, I guess today will be a better indicator as to what our new daily rate is looking like. But it's going down. You know, we interviewed the epidemiologist, Dr. Russell Manzanero, and he said the predictions were we'd see that spike around the time we were talking to him, which is 1,200, 1,300 cases. It was going to plateau for a bit. We saw a few days of that. And he said you'd see a rapid decline. So we are seeing that decline now, which means we might be coming down from this wave. We do, of course, encourage you to maintain. It's all, you know, it's like you're careful. You're like, don't say it's going down and everybody just freeze up and you see more cases.
We're hoping,
but just be careful because there still are a number of active cases out there.
There's still a number of active cases out there, and Marlene, you're totally right. This is not a time for people to be what we call free up.
Yeah.
It's not that time. We're seeing people who are actually getting diagnosed a few weeks after they've been cleared from their first diagnosis of contracting the virus. So it doesn't mean that because you get it and you come off of it, mean that you're not eligible or you're not liable to get it again. You can get it again. And of course, there's the BA2 out there now. Not at this particular point, we're not sure if it's being detected in the country, but who knows? You know, we've got a lot of people actually coming to our country on a daily basis. Ships are actually coming in. Yesterday about what, 3, 4? Today might be about 3, 4. We've got a lot of people coming in here. We just need to protect ourselves. Plain and simple.
And final point, and I know we'll keep on talking about this as the next few weeks unfold, which is that the race for the leader of the UDP is on.
It is
and
on.
I have to say that was very telling in the interview last night with now the leader of the opposition, Shyne Barrow. He once again went to the Governor General's office and accepted the role of leader of the opposition. And he is going to be the leader of the opposition in the House of Representatives, however, not the leader of the United Democratic Party. Currently, I believe it's the chairman.
It's the chairman who is Mike Perfeet, who is...
But the leadership race continues. And in the interview last night, it was clear that the campaign is on because we saw quite a few statements being made that shows that he's trying to build his case as to why he is the better candidate rather than Honorable Tracy Panton. He's getting ready to address, I think, some of the criticisms that will ultimately be. I mean, it's a election. We see it with the UDP versus the PUP, and in this case, we'll see it now within the UDP. And they're going to find weaknesses to attack each other on. And so yesterday, I thought to myself, yep, the race is on.
That's the sad part of democracy, especially when you have to do it within the household first before you move on out. Because what happens is that there are a lot of dirt, and there's a lot of attacks that actually get bestowed upon these people who are actually vying for. It's a sad reality of having to say these things about people, but when you want to get to that top, most naturally you're going to do what you need to do to eventually get there. It's a sad thing, Marlene, but it is the reality. Now, it's for them to go on out into within their party and try to court those who are referred to as the delegates out there, and especially for those who've got the large majority of them, you need to get to those people and see what happens. Shine has garnered the endorsement of the Caucus for Change within the UDP. You know, so yeah, and then of course Tracy
Yeah,
with.
and I guess the question
yeah.
is, will the delegates vote based on what their
What their-
representative, who their representative
Tell
is
them to.
supporting?
Yeah.
So that's, and we're going to see. It's
It's
not a
gonna be
very
heated
long
up. It's gonna
campaign
get
that's
heated,
going to take
yes.
place. We don't know if any other players are going to throw their hat into the race. There still is time for them to do so. And the leadership convention is till March, which
March
is a
27, that's the
far
date.
way away.
Yeah, you know what? At this particular point, we might be looking at the binoculars through the correct side, through the far side, the small side, seeing everything far. But if you watch through that thing the correct way, it's right over there. And I could see what I could just imagine what they're going through. But that's just a piece of the pie of what we've got to share with you from last night's newscast.
All right, but we got to get moving into our show for today. And so let's get some motivation in with our eye opener. And our eye opener taken from dailyom.com goes like this. Every thought we have and action we take becomes part of the collective energy of the planet. Sometimes we look at the action of others and find it difficult to understand what motivates them. We've all been taught how to see the world from the examples of those around us and by our experiences. Keeping this in mind, we can accept the choices made by others while seeking ways to increase the world's level of consciousness as a whole. When we use our energy to bring light into the world, it combines with the light brought by others to dispel the darkness. When the entire family of humanity understands that each of our thoughts, choices, and actions affect us all, we will share an incredible level of consciousness, one that puts our oneness above all else and helps us evolve into higher expressions of our spiritual selves. Remember, the next time you witness an action of another that they are of the same earth as you, put simply on a different conscious level at this point in their life. Find compassion, bless them, and move along your day in grace.
Okay, I'll sum it up by saying this. I hope that motivated you. I hope that motivated you. This
Collective action and collective consciousness.
Yes.
That's what we work towards.
That's what we always work
That's what,
towards.
and I love the idea of seeing yourself as the one who brings the light into the world.
Yeah.
Now, please don't put that level of pressure that you feel like you have to do it all the time, John, because you're allowed to have bad days, you're allowed to have bad moments, but when you can and you're in a place to consciously be a person who will light up a room or light up a moment with another person, by all means doing so. That's your contribution back to the consciousness on this earth.
So the question is, why you single me out?
What is what?
Why you single me out? That's the question.
Because because we all know we love your energy. I'm just saying, don't be pressured to feel that you always have to be that way, right? The balance of emotions means that you got to have that tinge of sadness and unhappiness and difficulty, because it makes the sweet sweeter.
She's one of them who knows me.
Yeah. All right.
It's that time of the morning. We move on to let you know exactly what to expect with the weather, as we're linking up with those at the National Met Service. Crystal will be sharing with us what the weather is going to be like for the next few days.
Generally, fair weather prevails. The 24-hour forecast. Sunny with a few cloudy spells today, and then clear to partly cloudy tonight. Showers, if any, will be isolated. High temperatures for today will reach 84 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 88 degrees Fahrenheit inland, and 78 degrees Fahrenheit in the mountains. Low temperatures for tonight will be 77 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 70 degrees Fahrenheit inland, and 65 degrees Fahrenheit in the hills. Winds over the open sea will be from the east to southeast at 10 to 20 knots, and sea conditions will be choppy. Please note that a small craft caution will likely go into effect tonight, as winds may become occasionally gusty and seas locally rough. High tides occur at 11:22 this morning and then 11:04 tonight. Low tides at 4:48 this evening and then 6:03 tomorrow morning. The moon will rise at 7:44 this morning and set at 7:31 tonight. Sunrise is at 6:24 this morning and sunset at 5:48 this evening. The extended forecast. Generally fair conditions with little or no rainfall on Thursday, and then a chance for isolated showers developing on Thursday night. And this has been this morning's weather report from the National Meteorological Service.
All right, so now we know exactly what to expect with the weather. Thank you so very much, Crystal Rosales.
That's right. And now it's time for us to get moving into our show for today. So we have had a conversation on Monday with the leader of the Maya Leaders Alliance, Christina Koch. We are, of course, looking at the recent developments in the continuous execution of the CCJ's order on Mayan communal land rights. So today we get the perspective of the Commissioner of Indigenous Affairs from the Ministry of Human Development and Indigenous Affairs. Greg Chuck is going to be with us, and he's going to talk to us about how the government came up with what is called the Free and Prior Informed Consent Protocol, and how they feel about the concerns that have been raised.
All right, so that's our first segment for this morning, a very important topic there. Then we'll slide on into a topic with BEC, Belize Estate Company, and they've teamed up with the BTB, the Belize Tourism Board, and they'll be discussing their vehicle finance program for the tourism sector. So if you're interested in that, of course, you might want to listen to this because your chance could be coming up. That's the second segment.
All right, and we're closing off with a conversation with Mar Alliance. And we're going to be talking about some of the efforts that they've been making in trying to eliminate and reduce the threats to marine wildlife in Belize. So that's going to be our final segment for today.
All right, so now you know exactly what we'll be discussing this morning. We need to take that break, but just before we do, we've got our birthday shout out. And we want to say a big, big happy birthday to none other than Bernadette Middleton. Happy birthday to you, B. Here is wishing you all the very best. May you enjoy your day today. 2 words to you from all of us here at Channel 5 and all of us right here on Open Your Eyes. We're going to take the break. When we come back, we'll be jumping directly into our first segment. Stay with us. We'll be back.
We have been a partner with SMART for over 10 plus years. We have a full SMART plan we use as our major driver for our business. We have a service that rolls over in that if you call one and it is busy, it rolls over to the next line. So once you call us, you can get us at any time. Before we got this SMART service, we were paying upwards of nearly $2,000 in phone bills. Since we've had our SMART service, we pay an average of about $600. So we've had tremendous saving, more than 50%. For the businesses, if you want to save money, switch to SMART because it is far more cost effective and the service is excellent.
SMART continues to be innovative in bringing new technology and meaningful savings during these challenging times to businesses across Belize. Sign up for our VoIP technology or broadband packages and save more.
Your life just got a lot less complicated with Belize Bank Contactless MasterCard Debit Card. Introducing our Standard Debit and MasterCard Platinum Debit Cards. Now you can make purchases anywhere MasterCard is accepted with one tap, pay and go. Your contactless card never has to leave your hands, especially in these times. And your card is embedded with multiple layers of security. Platinum card holders get to enjoy extra benefits like price protection, purchase protection, trip inconvenience, and luggage protection, just to name a few. Start enjoying a cashless lifestyle today with the Belize Bank.
Child Development Foundation, or CDF as we are popularly known, has been partnering with Social Security Board since 2015. Social Security Board supports our child protection initiatives. They support us to build capacity for teachers and parents to identify the indicators of abuse. In particular, they support our counseling center so that we can provide trauma-focused counseling therapy to children who have been abused. Social Security has also supported our prevention program, the Rise Girls program, to help us to equip young women who are in primary and secondary school to understand more about adolescent development and also to build good self-esteem and to build safe social networks.
Over the past 6 years, we have established a partnership with the Social Security Board. It has assisted us in addressing some of their social welfare needs and health care needs of our older persons, specifically in Belize City, San Ignacio, and Belmopan. We have had the opportunity to do home visits with our geriatrician and physiotherapists. We distribute meals to them. We also have that opportunity to interact with them, to observe them. There are needs that may be identified. If we can address those, we do so.
Social Security has been one of our biggest donors throughout the years, and the services that they provide to us is basically financial, and it helps with a lot of things here at the center like bills and groceries. The center is a drop-in center for the mentally ill, elderly, homeless, deportees. They come here, they take a shower, they get their breakfast, they get their lunch, and they also do recreational stuff here at the center. They can watch television, they listen to music, they play games, and they just, interact with each other because here it's like a family.
If you're looking for low-cost television advertising, have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you save valuable time and money. Call us today at 223-0146 or visit us at our offices on Pony Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
And welcome back. We're back. Welcome back to Open Your Eyes, and we're moving now into our first segment for the morning. Now, this one is all about a conversation with the Commissioner of Indigenous Peoples Affairs, and he'll be responding to the TAA, or Toledo Alcalde Association, and confusion with the alcalde system. So there are a few things that are actually highlighted in the newscast that is actually being spoken about and spoken of by both parties. At this particular point, joining us is Greg Chuck, who is the Commissioner of Indigenous Peoples Affairs, and he'll be speaking about that. Greg, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, John. Good morning, Marilyn.
I'll tell you what, it's nice to have you in, as folks are actually scrambling to get clarity with what the situation is, which is exactly where I'd like to start. Where are we at this particular point with what this situation is actually panning out to be?
Well, if I may start, good morning, Belize, the viewers. We have filed a free, prior, and informed protocol with the Caribbean Court of Justice. That's where we are, and there seems to be issues with it, and I'm certain that we are going to address that on the days going.
Yeah, there's several issues here, Greg, and I wanna just go ahead and ask you to respond to some of the concerns that have been raised. We interviewed the Maya Leaders Alliance on Monday, and so we're able to pull from that some of the things that were raised in that interview. The first is the level of consultation that took place. Now, your press release responding to their previous press conference was very clear that you consulted up until November 2021, then went back to the drawing board and formalized the protocol and submitted it to the CCJ. But they're saying that since that last consultation, they gave recommendations and did not get further consulted before the protocol was submitted.
Before I answer that question, Marilyn, I believe it's important to establish basic facts. Many Belizeans are not familiar with the MLA, the Alcalde system, the Alcaldes Association, and it has created tension not only in the communities but among the organizations that are working with the Maya communities to advance this historic judicial recognition of their rights to Maya customary land and other rights associated with that. Let me first of all say that it is being argued, or it is being presented to the Belizean public that the Alcalde Association is the traditional government system, or the Alcalde system of the Maya people. That is not true, that is inaccurate, that is false. That has to be very clear. And I don't want to take my word for it. I want to, if it is that you can go to the communities and ask them that question, I think it would be interesting to know the responses that you will get. And I will tell you why. So first, the Alcalde Association and the Alcalde system are not the same. The Toledo Alcalde Association is an association. It's an organization. And it is comprised of, you know, what an association is, groups of individuals that comes together for a common purpose. Mm-hmm. And that's what the Alcaldes Association is. Mm-hmm. And its membership includes the first alcaldes of each community. So the organization, the association, cannot be the alcalde system. The alcalde system includes the institution that applies Maya customary law. If you recall, in the judgments of the court recognizes the Maya customary land tenure based on Maya customary law, how we govern, how we manage our land. Mm-hmm. So the alcalde system applies the Maya customary system, but the alcalde system is comprised of the alcalde, first and second, that are elected by villagers of each village. And it includes the village policemen. Some communities would have 4, depending on the size of the village. Mm-hmm. And the alcalde has 2 functions. One, under Maya customary law and under the Inferior Courts Act. They act as judges. Mm-hmm. In their village. Mm-hmm. So an alcalde in San Antonio can't go and convene a court in another village. Mm-hmm. That will never happen. So the other function of the alcalde is one of administering the affairs of the community, convening the community, executing the decision of a community. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the distinction.
I want to, if I could just
want to say, but there is a one fundamental principle of Maya customary law, and this is very important. A principle of customary Maya customary law is that the villagers at a community meeting is the supreme authority that makes decision on behalf of the village, not the alcaldes. This is fundamentally important. That is the reason why that every organization, including the Toledo Alcalde Association, KCB, TMCC, SATIM, all these minor organizations must obtain the consent of the community for any decision they do or they engage with either a village or the communities collectively.
Let me understand for a bit the rationale, because I hear what you're saying, and I think it's a great lesson for children who've been out of school a long time to understand how wonderful it is that we live in a country where the indigenous rights of people allow for a separate leadership structure within their own individual villages. So villages in the south have a village council, and they have a village chairman, but they also have an alcalde, which is considered the leader of the selected by the Mayan community itself. My question is, though, it sounds that the idea of excluding the alcalde association is that somehow you, and correct me if I'm wrong, you are saying that alcaldes will make decisions without consulting the people? Isn't that a part of what they do in their leadership role?
Yeah.
Okay, this is, thank you very much for that question, Marlene, because this goes to the crux of the matter. There is no representative system in the Maya community. There is none. What I'm saying is that we are used to having a system of governance that we know of in Western society, right? Where we elect leaders and they go and make decisions on our behalf. That is what we know of.
Yeah.
That's what Belize has. A democratic society where we elect and we elect a representative. That is not the case in Maya communities. And they elect the alcaldes. They're alcaldes. But the alcaldes cannot make decisions on their own. The community must validate and must authorize that decision. So what has happened is there are those that have said, well, you've been elected, so you can take decision on behalf of your community. And we are finding out that where that has happened and the community have been made aware, the community has said no, because that is not Maya customary law. It is the community that must make the decision. So the Alcalde Association, it's an association that represents the community, but its purpose is not to make decision for the Maya, for the collective Maya communities. That's not its purpose.
I hear what you're saying, and what you very clearly articulated is that, because the question was, do alcaldes get the support of the majority of the village members to make decisions? In theory, they should. You're saying that you've met community members who've said they haven't been consulted. But in organizations and in decision making, and we see it in all levels of society. Let's use the Ministry of Education, for example. Realistically, they can't get the buy-in of every single teacher or school leader. So they work with associations that represent that individual school or that profession. They work with the Belize National Teachers Union. They work with the Belize Association of Principals. And so that eases the process of decision making. So when I hear you say that the association is not an institution that is enshrined in the culture itself, That's a fact. I don't think that was something that was formulated. But because there are such big decisions to be made, is it not easier to have a group of persons that have been selected by their villages as their leader to come together to ease the process?
Well, there is always an easier way of doing things.
Yes, but Greg, before we go down that road, though, let's just look at how long. And you've been so actively involved in this process, so you know how long this can drag out. You know that depending on who's leading this process, it can be slow or it can be fast. And I applaud where you have been saying that you have a deadline set for 2023, but consultation can be slow. And if you have a lot of people to consult, I'm trying to understand how, if you don't use an association of alcaldes, a group of alcaldes that have been legitimately selected by their communities, what is the alternative?
Okay, that is what I was going to discuss. In the past, the entity that has engaged the government of Belize is the Maya Leaders Alliance. Okay, the Maya Leaders Alliance is an entity that I created, I formed, and it is comprised of, when it was formed, 5 Mayan organizations working with the Maya communities in every area of their development. In fact, the Cacao Association was involved. The alcaldes was because they look at the judicial issues. Kekchi Council of Belize was looking at education. Toledo Maya Cultural Council was looking at land issues. So these organizations, we came together under the umbrella of the Maya Leaders Alliance. But it was fundamentally clear to us that any decision taken by us collectively we must obtain the consent of our community, because we understood that the decision makers are the communities. Each community, even the alcalde that comes to a meeting, he has to take back and get that validated. So we ensured that the communities were involved. In fact, when we negotiated the 10 points of agreement, we had sometimes 20 buses from all directions convening communities over the span of a year, going over the agreement sentence by sentence, paragraph by paragraph, even before, during the consultation process, because we recognize that the community themselves had the duty, had the authority, the power to make the decision, not us. And it was after they validated that 10 points of agreement that we went to sign. Now, what we found now is that to expedite the process, and I concede that we need to look at how can we make it
effective. Yeah. And in an ideal world, you can speak to every single village member, and it would be very difficult to get consensus.
But remember, this is very important. If we are saying we want to expedite it, we want to fast track it, we have to be extremely careful that we are not eroding a system of the Maya community. And that is what has occurred. I have given the press, the media, a declaration of the alcaldes. And the declaration clearly states that the alcaldes is the indigenous Maya governance system, meaning the alcalde system, and they are the entity that will decide that the state must consult with on all matters that affects Maya communities. And that is fundamentally wrong. if the community were to know this, and I know some of them have not seen these declarations, I think they would be mad and upset because it usurps the authority of the communities. So we have to be mindful that we are not changing a system unbeknown to the decision makers, unbeknown to those who have the authority.
Yeah.
And that is what we are trying to protect here. Yes, it's probably going to be lengthy, but we have to be careful. And that is what I have appealed to with the various membership of the Maya Leaders Alliance. Go back to the community, consult with the community. And let me tell you this. When I came on board, I was given the FPIC protocol. I have been to almost 30 Maya communities, and I have not found anybody, any community that have said to me, we know what is in that document. And it should not be the case, because that right belongs to them. The rights in that document belongs to the community.
Have you taken it back to the communities? Did you take the protocol that was the final draft submitted to the CCJ, did you take that back to the communities before it was submitted?
That did not go to the community, and that's what I want to go into right now.
Okay.
When I came on board, I invite all the members of the Maya Leaders Alliance, all the organizations. And it was at that meeting that I found out that, first of all, the FPIC protocol that was given to us, that has been on the table for 2 years, this FPIC didn't just start last year. This has been ongoing for the last 3 years.
Okay.
Extensive consultation. In fact, it is the TEA and JCS that wrote, along with the expert, the first copy of the free, prior, and informed consent protocol. That's what it was named. Now, when the Maya organization came on board, they found and they insisted that it must be taken to the community. The Alcaldes Association, the JCS, Full and True Society, resisted the need to go to the communities.
Why?
You would have to ask them that. I cannot answer that. So we made a compromise because we have a time limit. We cannot go on talking about FPIC forever, as the court had suggested. So we made a compromise. We said, okay, we think that if all of the organization works together, we can come up with a protocol that truly represents and protects the rights of the Maya community, the Maya villagers. And that's what we embarked on. Yeah. But the tension persisted. They told me, as the commissioner, you now represent the state.
Yeah.
You cannot get involved. Let us work it out. I gave them 3 months to come up with an FPIC protocol. 3 months passed. I got 5 revisions from the Kekchi Council of Belize. I have 3 revisions from the Sarsfield-Kimash Institute for Indigenous Management. I had a revision from the Toledo Maya Women's Council. I had 3 revisions from the Alcalde Association. I had no revisions from Holy and True Society. What I did, June came, and I said this before, it is not only that the community, the villagers must build consensus on this. I had the ministry also need to bring this before cabinet. Cabinet also had a say in it. They must consider it because it will be the policy of the government of Belize.
I want us to maximize the time for the interview. Let me just get a question, because I appreciate you kind of defining the mediator role that you're in, and especially having had the experience of being a member of MLA. In fact, many of our early interviews for this case, you were one of the spokesperson taking the case to the court against the government. So it's a tricky post, and now I think realizing that you are kind of the middle person. But I don't think I got a response as to how you plan. So this protocol, and I hear you saying you don't want to drag it out because there are a lot of other subsequent actions that have to be taken. But this is kind of your guideline. This is how the government can move forward and say, yes, the Maya community have agreed based on these rules set out in this protocol, or no, they haven't agreed. So it's important because it's the marker. So if there is the concern we hear from MLA, for example, and that's not the only person, because there are other agencies that have spoken up and said they are not in agreement with the Maya Leaders Alliance. Who then gives the consent? Who then would be considered? The FPIC, free, prior, informed consent, meant that you if I want to go into one of the communities and perhaps make an investment and drill for oil, maybe, I don't know, I need to consult. Who do I consult with? How much information do I have to give them? Who makes the final decision? If 10 community members tell me, we don't want this here, and the alcalde says, yes, the majority have already agreed that we can move forward, who is the consulting partner, if not the alcalde?
It is the communities.
So every person in the community.
That is the reason why in the FPIC protocol, we have created specific definition. When we go to the community to consult, we have to submit all information. That's why it's called free, prior, and informed. Informed means we have to disclose. Yeah. The third party has to disclose all information related to the undertaking he, she, or the company wants to do with the community. And that the community must be given sufficient time. And they must make the decision of their own free will. This is where the Maya Leaders Alliance, the member organization, and we have to be clear because that MLA has been thrown out all over the place and nobody asked. And you rightly say, some have said, no, they don't represent us, we did not reach a consensus. But it is presented there as there is a consensus. So we go back to the community because the land belongs to the community. It is owned by the villagers. So it is the villagers that will decide to be consulted. Yeah. So for example, let me give you an example, a typical example. Yes. U.S. capital drilled in Sunderwood. You recall that?
Yes. Yes.
Even against Satim's opposition, even against the Alcaldes Association's opposition, even against the other communities bordering Sunderwood. That decision taken by the village cannot be usurped by anybody else. But that demonstrates the independence and the autonomous nature of each community.
But it is also, is that a fair example though? Because it is before things like the FPIC protocol have been established. So where there were no guidelines, this will now allow for a guideline. If now a company wants to go into Otosha, it will now be guided by this protocol where it never existed before. So I just wanted to make that distinction. Craig, from the outside looking in, and I think the complexities of the cultural, the traditional roles within the Maya community is going to be one that there has to be an education process for the wider communities. I never knew and understood as much as I learned the alcalde system until I lived and worked in the South.
Yeah.
I never understood it until then. So it is a complex issue. But from the outside looking in.
It is extremely complex.
Yes,
and,
but from the outside
what
looking in, what it really appears to be is that there is a division taking place within the Mayan communities.
Yeah.
And I think the part that gets confusing is that there have really been two entities, one which you were a part of, that have been at least the face of this case in the court. The Maya Leaders Alliance and the Toledo Alcalde Association. If we go back into our archives, these were the two entities that very often would be the ones in front of the camera explaining why the Mayan communities were pushing forward with this case. Now, there is a situation where from the surface or from looking in at this point, that there is a move to exclude these bodies or downplay their level of influence after all the public has seen are these two bodies taking the case to court. How do you explain that?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I reject any notion that we are excluding the Maya Leaders Alliance.
Or the
We
Toledo
are
Alcalde
not doing that.
Association.
We have, in fact, as I said earlier, we agreed, they agreed to work together.
Okay.
We agreed to work with them. We've asked them to come up with to consolidate the concern into an FPIC protocol, one that they can present to the government. They have not been able to do that. The very reason that they have not been able to do that is because there are members. Remember, MLA is not one organization. MLA is comprised of 5-6 organizations, and they have to build consensus. They have to. And it includes the alcalde. Now, when you say that the faces, the MLA, the alcaldes, TMCC, they have always been the faces. We have not denied their rights. They are appellant before the court. It is not only the Alcalde Association.
Yeah.
And I want to repeat this, that KCB is also an appellant. TMCC is an appellant. So we cannot legally exclude any one of these organizations because they are before the court under the umbrella of the Maya Leaders Alliance.
Okay.
So we are legally bound to listen to those who took the matter to court, as well as those organizations that have been authorized after the consent order to say, you are going to be the entity that is going to represent my interest in implementing the consent order.
Okay.
So that is what we are trying to navigate. But we've reached a point where there doesn't seem to be consensus. So what does the government do? What must we do? The court have said to us, we need to get this done. Everybody keeps saying we need to get it done. And 1-2 organizations have said, and what we have done is, as a ministry, as a government, is to retain a team of international consultants because we need to ensure that the protocol meets international human rights standards.
Yeah.
That is what we end up doing. Even if we might reach a point where there is no consensus among the Mayan organization. Do we deny the right holders, who are the villagers in this community, the right to an FPIC because the organization failed to reach a consensus?
No, it absolutely must be done.
Strategy.
It absolutely.
We have to look at another. We have looked at retaining international consultants. The government has. retained a team of international consultants to work with us. It has also retained an international expert. It's not consult, it's international experts.
Yeah.
The government has retained a team of experts that works with the ministry. It has also retained an international expert that is guiding the court and the government and the appellant before the court. So the government has, and we have renewed the contract of the expert that is working with the court, working with the mine organization and the government of Belize.
So,
in addition to retaining a team of international indigenous experts.
Greg,
because we know that it's not going to be easy. There are personalities, there are competing interests, even in the composition, the organization that comprise the MLE.
Yeah.
But my view is, as the commissioner, we cannot deny the rights that belongs to the communities, that belongs to those who live in Otosha, in Conejo, because the organization are unable to build consensus.
Well, Greg,
so
this
let me
is,
just, go ahead.
I feel, you know, while we're discussing this, I still feel that it is bigger than what it is because me, and I'll throw the emotion out there, me being of somebody from Toledo, a PG man, you know, it's tough for me to see that there are divisiveness among the people, especially such a stronghold as the Mayan community. This is the reason why I say it seems to be bigger than what it is. But at the same time, you yourself, as one of the leaders there, we must try our best to unite. Unite the situation for what it is. How do you intend for this to be united? I feel that's
What's the next step?
Yes, that's one of the steps that needs to be addressed before continuing with providing them with additional information. How do you expect this to be done?
It's a task that I have had sleepless night in trying to configure how to move forward. As someone that started this process, and I said I demanded what I wish to see through my office, and I'm humbled to have been appointed to this position. When I go to the communities and I consult, I meet with the leaders, it is heart-wrenching to know that we have communities who do not want communal land, and that has been made public by them. I ask the question, why? Why have we reached to that point? Have there not been consultation? Have there not been ongoing education, awareness? Is it that you don't like the concept of communal land? Or is it that no one has come to explain it to you? I have asked these questions to many communities as I make my visit to these communities. And it's a lot of communities, a number of communities. So, and I hear what they're saying, that we have given our consent to delimit our boundary, but no one has come back to us. One community would say the other village refuses to meet with us because they have said to us where our boundary currently will be. How do we go past that? So that is the reason why I have leaned on the organization. I have not abandoned, I have not denied their rightful place because they have a role to play. They have a role to play to bring consensus.
And Greg, I just wanted to bring back a bit of when the case was before the court. There were community members who said they didn't want Maya communal land. So I think the idea of 100% buy-in, we shouldn't fool ourselves with that. Because we've seen that there will be people who don't necessarily want what the majority want.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the question is though, with the consent order submitted to the CCJ, with what is playing out publicly, with concerns about the protocol that has been submitted, you are, for all intents and purposes, they're partners. There are the organizations that represent the Maya communities, and there is the government. How do you get back to the table and continue working towards fulfilling the consent order from this point forward?
I am hoping, Marlene, John, and the Belizean public, that the leaders of the Mayan organizations, all the Mayan organizations, will come to realize it's not about them. It's not about the organization. It's about the right holders. The organizations do not own the rights. It is the communities, the members of each communities, my community in the South. If we come to that realization, then it becomes irrelevant whose signature or whether these documents have to be signed. It becomes one, is the substance of this document, the content of this document protects the rights of the communities as we believe it ought to. That should be the question. Does FPIC protects the right of the community to free, prior, and informed consultation? My view is, and the government view is, it does. And we have been advised by international indigenous experts that it does. But the question now is it that FPIC, the document that we have presented, has failed the international law test? I have not heard that. I have not heard that it does not protect the rights of the Maya villagers to free, prior, and informed consultation. I've heard the Alcalde Association is the traditional governance. It's an issue of representation. Who should really represent the Maya community?
Yeah. Well,
for me,
yeah,
it should be. Go ahead.
I'm sorry about that. I'm so sorry. We're just running out of time so quickly, and I was trying to get an answer as to what the next step is.
The next step, Marlene, just briefly.
Yes.
We have revised a roadmap. There was a roadmap. We had a team of international experts look at it. Mm-hmm. We included two components that we felt was important to include.
Okay.
And I won't go into the rationale for the component, but it has to do with governance.
Okay.
It has to do with management.
Okay.
And we have submitted that to the Mayan organization.
Okay.
We have not received any response, but again, we had a timeline. We agreed with the CCJ to submit it at the end of January. We submitted it on Monday. Mm-hmm. I have received a letter from TEA to say no. We have rejected this. And the reason is it goes back to representation.
All right. Greg, I'll tell you, we do hope that we could eventually get you back to continue to provide us with clarity as to what the current situation is, and continue to provide us with what the way forward is going to be. Greg Chuck, thank you so very much for joining us this morning.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, John Marlene and John 5.
All right, thank you. We're about to take a break. When we come back, it's going to be our second conversation. This one is going to be with Belize Estate Company and the Belize Tourism Board. Hey, vehicle finance program for folks who are in that industry. That's when we come back. Stay with us.
Working off-site doesn't mean you have to be off your game. Studies have shown that simply adding a keyboard and mouse to your laptop increases productivity by 26%. Add a monitor and you'll be 35% more productive. At Fulltech Systems, we have what you need to enhance your remote work or e-learning experience. With devices such as headsets, video conferencing monitors, webcams, keyboards, mice, docking stations, all with the brands you trust. Keep connected with collaboration tools like Microsoft 365 Suite and Kaspersky and perform efficiently no matter where you are. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
Who offers the best mobile experience in Belize? You don't know? Well, the truth is, Digi, our national telecom, of course. Digi has the largest mobile LTE advanced network with over 96% countrywide coverage, offering the fastest mobile LTE data speeds at the most affordable rates with mobile plans that fit your lifestyle. The truth is, only Digi gives the ultimate mobile LTE experience. Visit your nearest Digi store to join the bigger, better network today. Digi, our national telecom. Visit us online at www.livedigi.com.
Connecting people. Creating memories.
Guys, so here we are at the Glaze Out Kitchen. I just prepared this amazing broccoli.
Sharing a smile. Next Gen, the ultimate digital experience.
I chose Galen because of its strong reputation.
Great scholarships.
I came because I can take all my classes online.
It is what I need to take me where I want to go.
To learn more about our various programs, visit our website at www.galen.edu.bz or email us at admissions@galen.edu.bz.
And come soar with the Galen Eagles.
If you're looking for low-cost television advertising, have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you save valuable time and money. Call us today at 223-0146 or visit us at our offices on Pony Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
Welcome back to Open Your Eyes. We're moving now into our second segment for the morning. Now this one is all about Belize Estate Company along with the BTB, as these guys will be discussing with us their vehicle finance program for the tourism sector. And that sector, as we know, is actually booming. That's what we're seeing. Now in to talk to us about it, we've got Josue Carballo. He's the Director of Industry at the Belize Tourism Board. Also, David Vasquez Sales Manager, Assistant General Manager at BC. And on the screen, we also have my brother from another mother as well, Ellis Sanchez, Marketing Manager at BC. Guys, good morning and welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Good morning, everyone.
Ellis, you hearing us? All right, so I guess we get a thumbs up.
Good.
But guys,
you can hear me clearly, right?
Yeah, we're hearing you. Primarily, we're actually seeing now an extreme boom with the tourism industry. Look, I'll tell you what. At the inception of the pandemic, a lot of people didn't notice or wouldn't even foresee that tourism would get that reboot that it actually needed. A lot of people are actually venturing off now into what it is, and it continues to grow. But they need transportation. How we gonna get people from point A to point B? Exactly where we need to go. So let's get to Josue first. Josue, tell us about the Belize Tourism Board and the job or the what's at stake right now with BTB.
Well, today we're here to discuss the passenger van financing program. In this case, directly under the auspices of the BEC. But to give you a quick little background, like you said, tourism was a bit at a pause, but yet we have never stopped working at the BTB. And we saw the need through numerous outreach program surveys that we did. We discovered that a lot of our stakeholders, particularly so tour operators and the hotels and accommodations, many of them were having challenges in terms of getting access to finance to upgrade the overall infrastructure.
Yeah.
Secondly, in terms of getting quality new vehicles, modern vehicles, a modern fleet to be able to take care of their needs. Many of them were renting from other places when needed. In other cases, people were there was a shortage, the availability and the accessibility for vans. And so we decided to we did an open competitive bid in which we invited numerous car dealers from around the country. So this is not something that we just came and said, let's just choose BC.
BC, yeah.
So we asked everyone to submit bids based on of what the stakeholders were looking for.
Okay.
We got 4 full-fledged packages in which we did a comparison. And why we chose BC as our partner for this particular program is the fact that, one, they're offering financing. You don't really need to go to the bank to get actually your new vehicle financed.
Okay.
They would go through their process, they will have their vetting process, but at the end it's a one-stop shop, right? You don't really need to go back and forth. Secondly, BC did let us know that they're offering different services when it comes to beyond the vehicle, the maintenance, the insurance,
Right.
It's a full package. And eventually they will have other alternatives which could include leasing and upgrades. So at the end it's a program that one gives a greater accessibility. Secondly, the prices were really good for brand name, really recognized quality vehicles in forms of Kia and Ford. And so both pricing, ability to get all these products out there to the stakeholders, or the top reasons why we are now partnering in this with BEC.
So how does the partnership work?
Well, on our end, what we're doing is that one, we're assisting to do the lead generation, to be able to, let's say someone either goes directly to BEC or comes to us, you have to be, first of all, a member in good standing in terms of if you're a tour operator, you need to have your license updated and so on. No? If you're a hotel and accommodation, you must have your taxes in order and so forth. No? So it's for stakeholders in good standing.
Okay.
That's one. And it also helps BEC to vet eligible and eligible candidates. Secondly, we're assisting with this particular program with tax exemption. No?
Wow.
So we're applying on a case-by-case basis for this facility that at the end will assist the stakeholder. No? So that even makes the price even more
lower.
Even better. Yeah.
Or more affordable.
Yes, it is for the very productive sector that needs it at this point. Luckily, like you said, we have seen some level of comeback, more so because we're strategically located, and let's be real, Belize is the most beautiful country in the world.
Of course.
You're right.
So
without a doubt, that's a consensus here, right? Hard to build consensus. But I think because that was the question in my mind the entire time. While yes, I'm sure every hotel would want a brand new van to transport their clients, the tour guides want a new van as well. It's been a tough time. And even with a bounce back, that catchback is going to take a long time for some people.
Indeed.
So with the tax exemption, you're already looking at a more affordable rate. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about the lineup of vehicles now.
Well, the vehicles, Belize Estate Company Limited also sells the best vehicles in Belize. But regardless of that, the products are primarily for this project, for this particular promotion, working in conjunction with the BTB. It's passenger-based vehicles.
Okay.
So, we've already been fielding questions about, is there flexibility? Because we have, large operations, they have multiple needs. They have needs for passenger vehicles, for cargo vehicles, several things. This is primarily a passenger vehicle.
Okay.
We jumped on this and we put in all our efforts to make sure we were successful in getting this bid, because this particular promotion fell in line in exactly what BEC and our parent group, Bowen & Bowen, is all about.
Yeah.
From BEC's side, our mantra is keeping Belize on the move. So, we pride ourselves in offering a suite of packages, not just vehicles, but services, as Mr. Carballo alluded to, the insurance, the servicing, the after sales, everything. And from a side of, this fits perfectly with the mission of our parent company, which is, pursuing excellence for a greater Belize. So this program came at the right time. We were trying to work together to offer an opportunity for stakeholders in the tourism industry to improve the quality of the product offered, right? I mean, whilst we are coming back, whilst we are amidst some struggle in terms of getting the numbers to come back, obviously the health situation is still up in the air with the COVID numbers being all over the place.
Yeah.
And all these new variants popping up all over the place. Life still has to go on. The economy has to grow. Industries need to keep alive and running for us, for the country to keep going.
Yeah.
And so this was perfect for us. We're using the Ford Transit models. The Ford Transit has various models. It has everywhere from a 10 passenger all the way up to a 18 passenger. It goes 10, 12, 15, and 18. So it's a very versatile product. We are also offering the Kia Carnival, which is a minivan for the most part, but it's a very comfortable, very beautiful vehicle.
Carnival,
and it comes in various trim packages. But again, too, this fits into a profile for a tour operator who has a certain clientele they want to capture, for properties who want to show a certain image, for hotel transfers, for airport transfers and various things. So
how many seats?
That one seats 11 people.
Oh, wow.
11 people. It's longer than it looks. It's very spacious. The seating flexibility is there.
Indeed.
Very modular seats that can be either folded down or taken out to accommodate storage for bags and various things. So the whole program, again, too, it's not a money giveaway. We're not here to say that we're going to be giving away money to everybody. There's still a criteria. I'll have Mr. Sanchez explain more of the financing part of it, of how it will work.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, we're here. We're here to serve a purpose in terms of supporting the industry. But at the same time, we're also selling new vehicles, right? And so that's what we want to accomplish here. The idea of the financing and how it is structured is exactly as Mr. Carballo had mentioned, is to make it easier for the stakeholders. Going to the banks right now, you may not know, but interest rates are going back up. The banks are protecting their interests. Obviously, there's not a lot of fluidity in the system. So, the rates are going up.
Yeah.
this is for the people who are able to meet the criteria that is being set out. We are going to offer a package that is quite attractive. In addition to the duty exemption, which lowers the price of the vehicles, we are essentially looking at a financing rate and a length of time that will make it quite comfortable for stakeholders. Yes, quite manageable.
Even in a slow season.
Even in a slow season. And bear in mind how people have to eat, people have to live.
That's right.
So we can't be too stringent, but at the same time, it is a structure that has to be fulfilled through various criteria, right?
Okay.
And
So let's get to Ellis. Exactly where I wanted to go. Ellis, this is a buy-in for a lot of tourists, those who are in the tourism sector as we speak. We're hearing, all about this financing. We're seeing all the new fleets. It's a buy-in for me. Well, as a tour operator or as a hotel, what can I do to be a part of this?
Well, good morning, everyone. First of all, it's open, and it's open to any hotelier or tour operator, like we're mentioning. The first step, of course, would be to reach out to us via our contact number, 223-0641, or send us an email at info@becbc.com to schedule an appointment to sit and talk with David on how the structure would work out for you. We have certain requirements and a list that has been detailed out to ensure that everybody from all different parts of the stakeholder initiative to comply with it. Personal information that we will be asking for, your financial records. And if you look at it, you will see most of the big companies and the bigger hoteliers or tour operators might have everything intact, but we are catering to everybody when we roll out in terms of phases for this particular program. So even the smaller tour operator, ensuring that they themselves too are compliant with certain things that, come with business, such as having your financial records intact, making sure that you have your proper balance sheet to ensure that you can meet the comfortable monthly payments. We're not here to put any burden on anybody's operation and to, put you in a position that you won't be able to pay and have to do a repossession of the van. Like David mentioned, we're here to, continue building the tourism experience in Belize. And that's what we want to do. We're not here to take away anything or not be a part of the change that will happen as a part of this initiative. So you come, you set your appointment, you sit down with Dave, and we will explain out to you the list of requirements that we have. Again, financial records is a big part of that because you want to ensure that the customer can meet their payment. We are not here to look at it and say, provide you with one of these van options to not let you meet your monthly obligation. And that's the reason why we have different trim packages, the different seating arrangements too, because of course, somebody that might not be able to afford a comfortable monthly payment on the 18-seater passenger van, for example, but they might be able to do so on the Kia Carnival, the 11-seater. So it's to work with you and have you understand that and act mostly as an advisor to you in this operation, so that you can ensure that your guests get the ultimate Belize experience in one of these updated mobile units. And of course, we're already in 2022, so rest assured that those will be the vehicle models that you will be getting. Yeah. And later on down in the year, this program will definitely continue and roll out to see BEC offering additional services or opening the financing and leasing option to more units. But you definitely look forward to appreciating 2022 models and 2023 in the months to come with a part of this program, no?
So does the 2022 model come with an automatic hand sanitizer dispenser?
No, it doesn't.
Oh, I thought that's where we are now.
But we are getting creative enough that we'll make sure one is.
Just checking.
Yeah, no, but you brought up a good point.
The question though, if this is a partnership that was explored by both parties, clearly there was a need identified. And I'm hearing you very clearly articulate that you have to qualify because you understand the financial situation that people are in and you'll work best with them. So if I'm concerned, I've taken a loss, I closed down for 2 years, maybe I had to sell my van because I needed to get by. And now I want to be able to start back up again. I'm a bit concerned because my books may not look as pretty as I want them to look. Should I still come in to see if I qualify?
Well, I think so. I mean, it's worthwhile to always check. You always have to explore. But looking into that, you may be a good negotiator. You may have negotiated a contract with a certain cruise line or a certain maybe property to provide airport services. People have to get creative in these times.
Yeah.
And in doing so, these things carry weight. Having a contract for a year or 2 years at least helps. That helps to show that your business is viable enough for an investment in it, of course.
Yeah.
But, it may be that you have to start thinking in a co-op sense, that maybe you start working together with people who are in those positions, and maybe you can't do it on your own.
Yeah. Okay.
And so there's certain things, the BTB can always help with that. Ellis has laid out a financial program that essentially, we even have up to a personal finance form, which helps people even with your daily budget in your living.
Wow.
I use it, Ellis uses it.
Alden uses
yes,
it.
Yes, so, but...
You mean we write it? Do we use it is a different story.
Yeah, exactly. No, we use it, but... And it gets tougher now. Inputs throughout living is becoming more expensive. Things logistically, the world is on fire right now in the sense that how everything is in chaos. The transportation industry, in terms of ocean freight, you see all the chaos that's happening in our port. This is not unique to Belize, to be honest with you. I'm saying maybe the particular situation here is unique, but the strife in certain ports, Long Beach, for instance, we had certain things in California. I don't know if you all follow this story. There were at one time 75 ships in the harbor in Port of Long Beach waiting to be docked. It's crazy,
was a tough
right?
time for them. But so is this program ongoing as we speak? Is it going to start soon? Is it, and what would be my duration if I meet all the requirements before I could get my vehicle?
Well, the bell rung already. That's why we're here.
Oh, so bell rung. It's
so
on.
We're here. So it's on. It's on.
Yes,
So again, there is a process as we explore the criteria and everything else. So we have product on order already.
Okay.
Luckily, we preempted this as BTB and BEC took steps forward.
Okay.
So we'll be in a position. Right now, I'll tell you and my colleagues in the vehicle industry will gladly agree with this. That how vehicles are taking longer to come. They're harder to source.
Yeah.
So for us companies, the large manufacturers are having issues with allocation and production. So these things will take time. It's also an investment. We can't have 100 vehicles sitting on the lot waiting for customers to come either.
Of course, of course.
We'll work through this. The first phase is as the first set of product comes in, we first come, first serve sort of scenario.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's also the criteria of sitting down, not just measuring the criteria of qualification, but there's the next phase of the criteria of what they need. And as we have these discussions, we'll find out maybe they need 10 Kia Carnivals, maybe they need 10 types of different transits. So this will take some time, but this is the genesis of it. This is the beginning. So there has to be a beginning point, and we're here now to start the conversation and start working with people to get the industry going. Essentially, we have sort of not, the traditional tourism season is in full swing right now. With COVID, that has changed somewhat because people travel when they can at any time of the year now, not just in the high season. So as we work through this, we can prepare for next season, the traditional season. And it may not be that people will be able to get it because it depends on what type of situation will happen with the current health situation as well too. So we don't know. New variants showing up, everything else. Right?
All of that. So once again, back to the BTB, Oswe, while we've mentioned that tourism is actually on the rise, your families who want to venture off into that business, talk about their eligibility. They might just be in the process of registering as a tour operator. Will they be eligible? It's a start for them.
Well, that is one thing we will look at a case-by-case scenario. We believe that for startups and so on, you need to have some level of base now, because then I guess the BEC will determine their eligibility based on like David mentioned, their history. If you can track down some level of activity within the sector. But in that case, though, you could either, although the BEC is directly handling all the leads and so on through Mr. Sanchez and Mr. Vasquez, if you do have questions, though, you can visit our website or contact Ms. Evelyn. Ms. Evelyn, our Senior Destination Planning Officer at the BTB, she's leading the project directly with the BEC. I believe also a road show is soon gonna happen through the BEC. They're gonna be reaching out to the different regions. But more so, I do want to encourage our stakeholders to realize that, beyond just this program, but in general, if you can lock a good price on something, do it now. Because you don't know what will happen in the near future. with logistic prices, with freight prices, and all components, parts, all of these things that are happening at the macro level. It is good to take advantage now, to prepare yourself now. Our records have shown that there has been even with the rise of these variants, there have been a consistent flow of tourists coming to Belize. We're very optimistic with the new flights, looking at partnering with our regional carriers within Mexico and Latin America. There will be a continuous increase, so be prepared. And we're offering together at BEC this golden opportunity.
So is this ongoing? Is Tesina still no we're gone?
Yes.
It's always going to be like this between the BTB and BC, providing Belizean tour operators and hoteliers an opportunity to own something to traverse their clients.
Well, from I guess to answer that question, we will have to gauge. So far, the interest has been profound. I mean, we've been fielding calls and and people interested. They want to learn more. As Mr. Carballo had mentioned, we do plan on embarking on a roadshow. We'll go to the various regions. We're doing the North region, which will be Corozal and Orange Walk coming first, sometime early in February. We plan on doing Belize Central, which include the Keys. There are some people on the islands who have local land-based operations. We're going to the west following, and then the south, and of course the south is huge, right, with a lot of properties down there. So I expect a lot of turnout, a lot of interest. As we go to this and we gauge the interest level, this will determine for both parties how long we're going to push this promotion. And I think if the interest is great, I can imagine the BTB planning on making this something that will continue on for a long period. From our standpoint, as Mr. Sanchez had mentioned, we're looking to push financing, as a product in itself for BEC.
How long are the terms? I mean, are you at that point yet where you're deciding with people how long they have to pay?
Ellis, you would like to comment on that?
For us, right now, in terms of a payment time, we're looking at 7 years.
But
the whole idea of it is that we're not just keeping the client here for 7 years as a business operation or as a partner. Vehicle leasing and financing is something that once you lock in with a dealership, and that time might elapse, you have the option to turn in a vehicle, upgrade a vehicle, change your fleet. As we have newer models coming on within those time frame, you would want to be a part of it, and you want to say, okay, good, if I'm leasing a vehicle and I have it already on my leasing for 5 or 7 years, and when that time has elapsed, upgrade to a 2030 model or something to that effect. My calculation is doing me properly. So we want to be a long-term partner with the stakeholders. We're not just here to come in and offer a product and send them on their way. No, we're here for the long haul and to see the tourism industry in Belize boom as a part of this initiative.
Wow. Ellis?
I'm still stuck on that 2030. That was really too soon to go there. Let's survive 2022, right? We're going one by one.
Let's see 2023 first, right?
Maybe by then, beyond the hand sanitizer, it has even maybe a bathtub.
That's right. We may get
sanitizing back.
Oh my God.
Who knows?
But let's talk about prices. What are we looking at? You said there's a lot of interest. The carnival looks beautiful. That's a very unique, and especially if you're coming in, you're going to a fancy hotel. That's what you want to be picked up in. There's also the vans, which seem to be, they're very popular for tours.
Yes.
But where are you seeing the most interest, and what's the price?
Well, I'm going to be honest. I mean, most people are planning. You have to plan to grow, right? So a lot more people are interested in the transit product because of its size and ability to grow into. Roads are getting a lot better. I mean, infrastructure is improving, so that's a big thing that will add to the strength of this program as well, right, and the viability of it. So I think a lot of people are seeing the big picture. They're seeing down the road, maybe not to 2030, but at least to 2023, and they're preparing, right? I think from our standpoint, it's a suite of packages. It's not just a vehicle we're selling. We're aiming to sell an experience that they will be able to capitalize on, in the sense that, as we alluded to earlier, insurance is included, after-sales servicing, which is a big part. If right off the bat we're seeing 10, 20 people, BC is able to plan. So, it's not then just in time sort of after-sales support. You're able to say, boy, we have 10, 12 people who are one-shot deal who are getting into this program. We have to plan. Then our parts department kicks in and they order all of the necessary parts to have it available. Our service department gets ready with the right amount of personnel to make sure that they're trained and ready to service these vehicles.
Indeed.
this is all a part of the experience and improving the Belize experience, not just the BEC experience, right? So that's what we're aiming for.
All right. Ellis, Dave, Josue.
So who do we call first, BTB or BEC?
Or BC?
Well, I think first you have to make sure that you have your ducks in a row with the BTB.
With the BTB.
So it's good to check with Mr. Caraballo and Miss Chelsea Evelyn.
Then you're going to get that tax exemption.
Yeah, make sure that you have all your taxes and everything. The qualification for tax exemption will come as, I guess, in following the qualification for the financing. But we are planning as we engage with the stakeholders to keep that in mind always, that the pricing will be based on the duty exemption.
Excellent.
Because that is something that Mr. Caraballo has worked hard to already secure. So I think we're taking that for granted that is in place. The actual, qualification for that will be processed through the BTB with the BTB support. But from our side, we'll kick off the discussions, and I think you just have to make sure that all your ducks are in a row with the BTB.
I like that.
And then after that, you come see me.
You move over.
I'm here.
Guys, we want to thank you for joining us this morning, man. This is definitely a progressive way, especially with respect to tourism in the country, and the easiest way to get your vehicles. Huh?
Yes.
Thank you guys for joining us. Ellis, Dave, Josue, thank you guys for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having us, guys.
All right, we're going to take the break. When we come back, it's going to be a conversation with Mar Alliance. They'll be sharing us about their conservation efforts towards threatened marine wildlife in Belize. And we like snapper. We're going to talk about these things when we come back. Stay with us.
Hello, friends. This is Dr. Bob Roberts with another 60-second sermon from God's Word.
The Bible says, when Jesus therefore saw his mother and the disciples standing by whom he loved, he saith unto his mother, Woman, behold thy son. Then he saith to the disciple, Behold thy mother. And from that hour that disciple took her unto his own home. William Goldsmith Brown once said, the sweetest sounds to mortals given are heard in mother, home, and heaven. Abraham Lincoln said, no man is poor who has a godly mother. No one knew the love and compassion of a mother like Jesus. She was the first to greet him from the womb and the first to greet him from the tomb. She was first to the cross and first to the tomb. Jesus' love for her is best illustrated by the fact that one of his last thoughts was on his mother. From the cross he looked down and saw her and said to John, Behold thy mother. That is, take care of Mother John. No one can comfort and console like a mother. That is why someone said the best place to cry is in a mother's arms. She is there when we cry and often when we die. On September the 24th, 2010, in a New York apartment, the lifeless body of Cesar Mercado, senior consular official, was discovered by his driver, Amparo Amador, who had come to drive him to attend the UN General Assembly's annual meeting. The driver related, beginning 6 months ago, he told me, don't let them have a funeral for me here if I die. I want a closed casket. Just send me to my mother. Today's 60-second sermon has been presented by Christian Foundations of Faith in cooperation with the Baptist churches in your area.
It's a fact that your credit lasts longer when using Smart. During these times, we're all trying to find ways to cut costs and save the little resources we have. With Smart, it's easy to do that. It's a fact that with Smart, your credit lasts longer. You can call Smart to Smart and Smart to Digi using your promo credit, while with the other guy, you can only call OnNet, Digi, or BTL numbers. What does this mean? You get to call any national number using your promo credit. Your promo credit is free, so that call is also free. Know your facts. Don't be tricked by the other guy. Be smart and save your dollars.
Imagine going through your entire day without the burden and risk of carrying cash on you. Belize's shift to digital wallets has begun with eCash. We can now skip the cash when collecting money or paying for our essentials, all while using a fast, easy, and secure platform.
Simply add funds to your wallet via bank transfer or at an agent, and you're good to go.
You will be able to make quick, easy payments, simply by scanning QR codes. And best of all, it all happens just like that. Payments are as easy as clicking a link online or scanning a QR code. Download the eCash app from the Google Play and Apple App Store today and take your first step into a cashless lifestyle. The future is here with eCash. For more information, visit www.e-cash.com or contact us via WhatsApp at 613-0257 to find out more.
We're back. We are back. We're moving now into our third and final segment for the morning. This one is a conversation with Mara Lyons, and they'll be sharing with us about their conservation efforts towards threatened marine wildlife in Belize. Now, this is big, especially when it comes to threatened marine wildlife. We've got the pros in to tell us all about it. Dr. Rachel Graham is in. She's the founder and executive director of Mara Lyons. We also have Jamal Andrew in. Everybody know you, Jamal. I'm the Belize country coordinator for the foundation. And also on screen is Clara Sabal, who is a research officer at Mara Lyons. Guys, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for
I'll tell you, I love the energy. That much I can tell you.
Absolutely. That's how we roll in the Marine.
Oh, really?
The only thing missing is the actual tea.
I know.
And we have to remedy that, I think, in the months to come.
I agree.
So, Dr. Rachel, let's start with you. Tell us about Mara Lyons and the work that is being carried out by you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my start here was in Belize in the Marine, and this was in 1997, 98. I started working with the spawning aggregations and the whale sharks in Gladden Spit, did all the research with the whale sharks there. And from there, working with fishermen who had all these questions, and their questions of how many are there, where are they going, and all that. That created the framework for literally the whale shark work around the world.
Wow.
Yeah. And once we got them protected here in 2003, it was a question of we listening to what the fishermen were saying. They said, we don't have any more sharks. The sawfish are gone. That's a species that we used to have that's critically endangered.
Yeah.
They used to be all over Belize. We had 2 species gone. So we thought, oh my goodness, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And so we moved over from whale sharks to other shark species. And that's when we started trying to figure out the mysteries of what's going on with these big threatened species, not just sharks, but finfish, turtles as well.
Yeah.
And in 2014, I created Mara Lyons, and we have an amazing team. You're only seeing part of our team here, and our whole purpose is to answer questions in terms of what do we have, how are they doing, how important are marine protected areas for them, and to help Belize also answer international convention questions for these highly threatened species.
What is this current situation with our marine life as we speak? I mean, you guys came out and started to do work. Are we seeing the fruits of, are we reaping, not reaping, but are we seeing the fruits of these work? Sorry, I used the word reap. When are we seeing the
At least you're
fruits?
not using harvest,
Yes.
which is an issue for us because, you know, we are harvesting. We're not like going in and harvesting our corn. You know, this is wildlife.
Thank God not. But what are we seeing as we speak with our marine life in our country? Is it healthy? Is it, what are we seeing?
We have the perspective of working in multiple countries. So
Okay.
Mar Alliance is both a Belizean NGO, founded in 2014, but also an international. So we work in other countries. We work in Mexico, in Honduras, in Guatemala, Panama, Micronesia, West Africa now. Yes, I tell you, it's been fantastic. and the same model of local team working with traditional fishers, local students, and of course institutions like here, Belize Audubon Society and TASA and Fisheries Department, etc.
Yeah.
What we can say is Belize is, you know how everybody says we're blessed here with untold wealth? We still have that compared to many countries we work in. But it's not as good as it should be. And that is what we're concerned about. And this is where Jamal and Clara can speak to some of the results of our work here and be able to tell you kind of where we stand with respect to large threatened marine wildlife.
Let's start with you,
Clara.
Clara.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about the work that you've been doing as a research officer.
So I am predominantly responsible for our data management while we are working out in the field and also when we return from the field. So while we go out on our long seal season, we do 3 different monitoring strategies that we collect data. And so we have our underwater visual sensors, which are our transects, and we have 4 snorkelers in the water, and they record the fish species and our megafauna species. And we record the size, and also if we're able to sex the megafauna species, then we can decide whether or not they are male or female. And this, we really thank our fisher partners for this because we have to swim for an entire kilometer, and it takes about 12 to 15 minutes per location. And at some of our monitoring sites, we have to do at least, we try to do at least 7 transects in a day. So that's like 7 kilometers, but we have rotating people in the water.
Whoa, all right. That's
It's a lot of work, but we have very dedicated fisher partners who are able to get it done along with us. And we have someone on the boat recording, and of course our boat captain who can also look over us in the water.
I'm usually on the boat reporting.
Yeah, Jamal likes to stay out of the water sometimes.
Supervise.
But, you know, we understand.
Well, you have clearly explained to us why. Don't worry, we understand. But Clara, what's it like for you? You know, as a Belizean, we take a lot of what we have for granted, and in working in communities where fishing is a part of their livelihood, it takes a lot of education and convincing to help people understand. What's it been like for you to be involved in this work?
So it's been very fulfilling to be involved in the work because, you know, I know what the work that I'm doing is helping the people here in Belize, but it has also been good to interact with the fishers as well. They're very dedicated and they want to preserve the marine wildlife that we have here in Belize. And that's interesting because we know that it's their livelihood. So you would say, yes, okay, that they want to quote unquote reap what's in the water, but they also want to preserve it because they know that they want their children to be able to have the same experience that they have and catch the same amount of fish that they were catching at that time. So they're very concerned as well.
Yeah. And Jamal, heading things up as the coordinator, as the country coordinator.
Yeah.
So my role basically is to work between all this amazing talent that you're hearing about. We have, Rachel's really established a fantastic network in Belize that we can tap into. So we have people like Clara, we have the fishers that have been doing this for many years, the people in the water, so to speak, and our partners, the NGO and governmental partners. So I try to make sure all these, the strands of this network are intact every time we have to do our field work and we do our planning throughout the year. I get to get my feet wet a little bit and see that it's actually happening and participate so I can speak to what we're trying to do and further that cause and make it more meaningful and successful every year.
Yeah.
We're just playing with words this morning, right? So you get your feet wet, which means you don't actually swim, you just put your feet off the boat, right?
He's very good in the water, by the way. He can swim those transects very well.
Yeah. But let's talk about the realities on the ground. Sometimes when we're talking about conservation, it means that you have to help people adjust to a new form of tradition.
Correct.
One clear example would be how we have worked to protect our shark species. A very long time, people were looking at shark as a meat that they would consume. People expected it in their panades. And I would say now we're in a more comfortable spot where people recognize it's a protected species.
Yeah.
However, every now and again, we do get images here in the media of sharks that have been caught and are still being sold to the market. So how do we overcome the hurdle of getting the buy-in from all the fishers? I know some are very cooperative and understand long-term implications, but how do we keep chipping away at getting more people to buy in?
So, you know, working on the educational side for over 23 years and working bit by bit with we've trained over 150 fishers in Belize in a lot of our monitoring techniques and more. And so we find that a lot of the information moves horizontally in communities, and we really try to get buy-in from a lot of different communities where we work and where we don't work. We've seen a big public shift in opinion, huge, where before it was like we need to kill the sharks to now, wow, they're really generating a lot of money. Now, don't forget, it wasn't too long ago where people were hunting manatees, and now they're protected. And, you know, if there's a manatee death, people are outraged.
Yeah. That's so true.
Yeah. Not too long ago, same thing with turtles. And not too long ago, permit bonefish and tarpon that now generate $500 million a year in just the fly fishing industry alone. So the other aspect is, how do we get this change? We need to bring those who are still catching and selling the shark meat to Guatemala, get them more integrated, and especially in tourism. And I'll tell you why. Bahamas has a thriving shark tourism worth $113 million a year, and it's renewable because the sharks are alive, and many of these sharks live for many decades. Belize can outcompete. I used to be a competitive athlete, so I'm very competitive. We can outcompete Bahamas easily. Why? We have 4 sites right now where we can do shark encounter tourism. We could bring that up to 7. That would include more of these fishers. We can generate well more than 100 million. And we have so much more to offer here in Belize than, for example, in Bahamas with rainforest ruins, reefs, and I like to say, and reefies, the Caribbean reefs. So yes, it's going to be more education. It's going to be greater inclusion in a developing shark tourism, and we're actually talking to BTB about this. We'd like to develop a strategy so that more people can actually benefit from live sharks.
So moving to an alternative form of lifestyle.
Absolutely.
So the numbers, the statistics can justify that sharks, to put it bluntly, sharks are worth more alive than dead. And that's with a lot of species, especially ones that are more controversial. You know, there are negative connotations around shark. But it's just a matter of reinforcing that value that the country can make a lot more on live shark, using it, increasing the industry around, making it a tourism product that we market out into the region. And I was just sharing with Rachel an analogy. I'll go terrestrial very briefly, but it's similar. I have to go terrestrial. It's similar to people in South America, in the Pantanal, in Brazil, and so on, who are farmers and ranchers who are reformed jaguar killers. They would quite boldly and confidently state to you, I used to shoot any jaguar I see, you know, on site. And many of these ranchers and stakeholders have shifted to being able to capitalize on having live jaguars in their area. They turn their ranches into B&Bs, they go on jaguar tracking ventures and so on. So they have seen the value of having these top predators alive in their area, coexisting with them, and then monetizing it, benefiting from it financially. So it's just a matter, I think, it's obviously it's not an overnight transition, but it's also important to give the fishers that are willing the opportunity to access the resources or the training, whatever it is that may be, to make that jump, to make that shift into benefiting from the animals alive rather than dead.
You know, sometimes just adding perspective to things is so helpful. Because when you point that out, I mean, the days when there was concern of not being able to eat hicatee or shark or all these things, it's a lot different now. I have another great example, because I can remember a decade ago where sports fishing, people happily posed with their huge blue marlins. Now they do catch and release.
Correct.
For people who love going out there for that hunt. So let's talk a bit about finfish too, and see the work that is ongoing. I think that's one example, but clearly there are more.
So in terms of the finfish, so we have engaged actually with the Belize Game Fishing Association, and we've done some of the landings when they do bring in some of the species, for example, barracuda or wahoo, etc. And one of the reasons is because a lot of recreational fishers who are going out in tournaments were saying, you know, we're seeing a decrease in some of these species and landings, etc. So we started some of that work, and we look forward to continuing it. But we have seen a shift there as well. Like you say, not bringing in the marlin, catch and release, and I really applaud them because they really led that charge. And in many of the tournaments here that were originally suggesting that people bring in shark or Goliath grouper.
Oh, wow.
And we said, please don't, because of their longevity, because of their critically endangered status. For example, Goliath grouper here, or in the case of some of these sharks that we have in our waters are critically endangered to extinction, like the hammerheads.
Yeah, the hammerhead, indeed.
So, you know, back to the finfish, what we are seeing is we have seen declines in our finfish, very unfortunately. And part of it is that, unfortunately, we currently have too much fishing effort for the fish that we have left in our sea. And that's a hard reality. So how do we manage that? Well, one of the first things that the government did, they banned gill nets. That's very helpful. Why? It's hard for some of the fishers who had gill nets, but they were a very small number. And there was a big buyback with Oceana and with our Coalition for Sustainable Fisheries. But it evens the playing field. Because somebody with a net has 100 times the amount of fishing effort than somebody with hook and line. So you're evening the playing field. And so that's a really good first step. But we are seeing, and when we're talking to a lot of fishers, restaurant owners and more, and just people on the street, I can't get a fish to put on my plate. The restaurants are struggling. They're having to import fish.
I know.
So we have to face this hard reality and think about how we actually address the issue of effort. And because a lot of people don't know that a fish like, for example, the barracuda, you get a 4-foot barracuda, people are like, oh, that's a 3-year-old animal. No, it's 19 years.
Wow.
So when you do the math, you can understand why these fish can't repopulate. And this is why we're seeing a lot of people moving into the deep sea fisheries. And we've actually, as Mar Alliance, completed the first ever assessment of deep sea fisheries in the entire Mesoamerican reef. And you can find that on our website under our resources. And basically what it's telling us is that the shallow water fisheries have dwindled to such an extent you're seeing people move into the deep. What is
this a good thing? Is this concerning? What do you
Okay, so it's serial depletion. You deplete this, so it started with we deplete groupers, then we go to snappers, and now people are catching like barracuda and maybe jacks that maybe they might not have caught preferentially before to eat. Now they're going for deep sea. Now what happens in the deep sea? The animals tend to live longer and they mature later. So again, we have to do the math.
So they take longer to be able to reproduce
to
and
restore
to build
the
up
population. So this is where we really appreciate engaging with government, with the Department of Fisheries, and we provide these kinds of data so that they can better manage the fishery and try to figure out the next steps to ensure that we have more sustainable fisheries and fish.
But it makes sense, especially with the little hatchlings. Their habitat is actually the reef. And so when they're out in the deep sea, they're not able to thrive that like they used to being on the reef. And so for this reason, when it comes to deep sea fishing, it is a tough one for them. We know that time is dwindling, and I'd like to go back to Clara. Clara, you know, as especially because when people see you, especially as a strong woman, they question, my goodness, you're actually out there, you're swimming out there. Talk to us a little about the job and how can one be as strong as you in terms of going out there to protect what we've got and our livelihood.
I'd say in the beginning, the guys and the fishers were very welcoming. So I've had experience, you know, I'm a dive master already, so I've been swimming for a couple of years already. So when you go there, the guys are very accepting. So it hasn't been difficult. We have a very strong team who are willing to work with you. So even if you don't understand or you're able to do some of the more technical stuff, they find spaces and ways for you to, you know, use the skills that you have. Right now, we have been training on our shark tagging, well, me specifically, because the guys are already trained up. So I have to practice more on handling the shark, and it comes with a lot of
wait, what do you mean handle a shark?
Oh, she's good.
What do you mean by handle a shark?
So I know we saw some of the footage where we were measuring the sharks on the side of the boat.
Yeah.
So whenever we do our shark tagging, it has to be preferably calmer waters. So we're protecting ourselves from falling and also protecting the sharks from backing up against the boat. So we try to, we have a fisher who holds the line to keep the shark steady, and then someone leaning over and doing the measuring and determining the sex of the shark. So you have to kind of be able to lean over and hold the shark and touch the shark and have a little bit of bravery in a sense that you are able to do. Even though they're very fine when they're on the line, they don't kind of flash around. So it's very safe for them and for us.
Clara, just let me say that's a lot more than a little. That's a little bravery that is necessary there. We're naturally so scared of sharks. But we have Dr. Graham here. You're swimming with whale sharks. Of course, we know that's always been one of the areas that's a great example to show how tourism can build around conservation.
Yeah.
Your work with whale sharks in Belize and how it has become a part of what attracts people to come here is an example of what you're speaking of. But what is, if you were to say, perhaps the most concerning area or species that you see today that you're worried about?
So I think people need to know that we already have a local extinction of sorts, an ecological extinction, and that is the sawfish. Used to grow to over
the
sawfish.
Sawfish, yes.
So used to grow to over 20 feet. Wow. And we have lost them in Belize, and we thought throughout most of Central America, except for some anecdotal reports. And for the first, there we go. In Panama, our team with the traditional fishers from the Embera indigenous area were the first team to catch a large tooth sawfish in over 30 years.
Wow. 30 years.
30 years. Very, very exciting. It was actually our coordinator from the area, Jairo Cunampio, who is Embera, who worked with the fishers, and they caught the sawfish. Absolutely incredible. So we're very concerned about that. But you know, what was the main thing that led to the demise of sawfish in Belize? Gill nets.
Oh my God.
We have all the habitat, and we have the fish, we have the mangroves and the coast, and now with the gill net ban, we have the opportunity to bring sawfish back, and that will help the ecosystem in the coastal areas and more. So
indeed,
that's and another thing that we're
is there hope for the population to rebuild?
Yeah,
I think I do. I only operate out of hope. Absolutely, we all do. This is, you have to be hopeful in conservation because there are many issues to address, including climate change. And having robust, resilient fish and shark populations, and of course rays with them, they're the cousins, are an essential and integral part of building up this resilience for our coral reef, mangrove, seagrass, marine ecosystems moving forward, and to be able to challenge climate change. And on that point, we are going parallel with the census.
Yeah, I was going to say we'll be able to answer that you asked if there's hope for the species or the shark species in general. We'll be able to answer that question a little better for you, hopefully by the end of this year, because, so 2022 is the housing census, right?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be happening. We're doing a shark census, a national shark census, parallel to the human head count. We'll be doing a shark head count, so to speak,
So
throughout the
help
region.
us understand how you do
Yeah,
that.
how do
You
you do
can't
that?
go door to door with this one.
Oh, I don't know. Well, yes, kind
Can't
of.
go door to door and none at all. And then I got name for say, tell your family come out.
How do you do the head count for sharks?
It'll be kind of using some of the same methods Clara described.
Tagging
just
as you go along?
Correct. Visual
Video?
census, some
Yeah.
tagging, but basically throughout the Mesoamerican Barrier Reef. So multiple sites from north to south, north, central, and south, including the ones we already do, but expanding it. So doing basically a comprehensive assessment of their habitat throughout the rest of the year. So
There are 4 species of sharks in Belize. There, what all?
So we have 220 species of
Okay.
sharks and rays in the Western Atlantic. And we have about 12 species of shark that we work with and about 7 species of ray.
Okay.
And just to put it into context, these are highly evolved. Over 400 million years have gone into the evolution of sharks in general.
Wow.
And in the world, we have 540 species of sharks and about 650 of rays. So we have 220 is not bad.
So what are the most dominant ones? I haven't seen a hammerhead. I don't know. Are
Okay.
those common in Belize?
Thank you for bringing
Yeah.
that up. We have, in order to do our work, we have to actually catch the sharks. In some cases, when we're tagging them, we have put out over 85,000 hooks and only caught 7 hammerhead. The situation of hammerheads is dire in Belize. So what is one of our hopes? To bring back hammerheads. Why? Because like the sawfish, the hammerheads also get caught in gill net. So if we don't have gill nets, we can enforce this gill net ban. That will help bring back critically endangered scalloped and great hammerhead species. So that would be really good. But the most prolific, the nurse shark. And in fact, do you want to tell the good news about
so the
nurse
shark
sharks?
got their own official census already. So last year we published a paper on the estimate of the population in Belize, and it's set at around 14,000.
Okay.
Throughout nurse sharks alone.
Just
So
nurse
they're
sharks.
spoken for, yes. Just throughout Belize, and that's
Okay.
again throughout the length and breadth of the coastal
There
areas.
they
Yeah.
are.
There they
Those
are.
are the ones you can kiss. When you go to the
We call them the puppy dogs of the sea, or the puppy dogs of the sea.
Puppies, yeah.
Yes,
So
exactly.
that's the one that most Belizeans are familiar with, I would
Yeah.
say. At
Yeah.
least they've
Very familiar
had
with
more
the nurse
opportunities to see it, no?
Yeah.
But again,
Because the population is so healthy.
But it took us 10 years to get that
Yeah.
number, and this is the first ever national assessment of a shark species anywhere in the world.
Wow.
And we in Belize have it. And these guys are generating $750,000 in park fees alone at Hol Chan, Shark Ray Alley.
Wow.
So it's-
Annually.
And that's just one site.
That's
Just one
one,
site.
One site.
And
Yeah.
that's just, as Dr. Rachel mentioned, just park fees. That's not counting the tour operators, all the associated
The
services
tips,
that go along
restaurants.
with people coming in just to see sharks,
Yeah.
just to see nurse sharks.
So you're right. Imagine we have not only 4, but 7 of those with that amount of income there. Wow. So it's big.
Just imagine.
We do hope that the buy-in
The potential is
continues
there.
to be.
It just needs exactly. It needs
Yeah.
to
So
buy in.
your
It has to be the buy-in.
census, your shark census takes place this year.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
We're
We'll
totally
find out
excited,
more.
and we're expecting that you are going to come and join us.
Yeah.
I literally want to know. I
every
want to
time
go.
we see,
I really want to
do
go.
the whale shark diving because that's just amazing. But yeah, maybe
Yeah.
I see my
But
first
this is-
hammerhead instead.
There we go. But
But-
all the other sharks, they're all fabulous.
I just want to let you know that I'll be right there in the boat with Jamal.
Oh, literally
But
only
we
get
need
his
more.
feet
We
wet.
need, we're
Yeah,
recruiting.
yeah.
We need swimmers. We need.
We
strong
just want to
swimmers.
push out the boat, bro. It's all right. I'm only kidding, but I
I'll bring
feel
the
that
Jaws music just to set
Just
the
to
mood
set-
for you.
You see,
yeah.
this is what we need to work against. We need to bring up the nice music, you know?
I must say that it was a you see, she's starting it. It was a great conversation, and any time that we've got organizations such as yours who have got that want to make that at least our fishing industry thrive, we know for a fact that that's a big kudos. So we do want to say a big thank you guys for joining us this morning, especially with the efforts that you've got to bring back this industry to our country. Thank you so very much for joining us this morning. I don't know if you have any last words. Look like I got last words. Talk to me.
I'm good.
I'll give you a minute.
No, well, we're looking forward to hopefully having you all out there on the boat with us when we're doing our work, so you can see it firsthand.
Yeah.
And maybe at the end of the year we can come back with some good news about the census to share.
Find out how many.
All right.
And just to add to that, we did see in this year's point areas that it looked like some shark numbers were coming back in a couple of sites
Beautiful.
as a post-COVID potentially break.
Yes.
So this year it's to see, was it really a break? Are they really restoring or not?
Okay.
And so that's why this year is going to be so critical to answering so many questions about sharks.
Clara?
Any last words?
Yes. No, I was just going to agree with Rachel that hopefully we get to see an increase in the numbers this year, because last year was very
Exciting.
good.
All right.
And, and can we just say, also, we're super proud of Clara, because I don't know if you know, but she represents Belize internationally in volleyball.
What?
Yes, we have our very own top athlete in our group. So
Then that swimming is doing wonders.
things, yeah.
Training.
that's why she can jump so high.
Yes. So Clara, Dr. Rachel, Jamal, we want to thank you guys for joining us this morning, man. Great conversation. What a great way to end our
Thank you for
Wednesday
having us.
morning.
Thank you. It's been a
And
pleasure.
here's to wishing you guys all the best, all right?
Thank you.
All right, so we need to take our final break of the morning. When we come back, we'll be wrapping things up. Stay with us. We will be right back.
Hello, welcome to Samsung's awesome experience right here in Belize. Come check it out. Not sure which Samsung Galaxy A series is right for you? Touch, play, and learn about your device before you buy. Once you've purchased your device, you can now benefit from the full Samsung service experience. Your phone is covered by a 1-year local warranty. This includes manufacturer defects and software and hardware issues caused by the manufacturer. Enjoy your phone with peace of mind knowing that your Galaxy is protected. And when your warranty expires, you can still bring it to our certified Samsung Repair Center. Our technicians will diagnose and repair your device with Samsung original parts and machinery. Enjoy the Samsung experience when you shop at any of our authorized partners countrywide, including Cellular World, Digi, Odette's Home Center, Debari, Shopigas, and Quartz. Join the Samsung experience in Belize today.
It's almost lunchtime and Alice is getting hungry and forgot to bring cash. She remembers that eCash now has a geolocation feature in which she can easily view the eCash merchants near her, especially restaurants. Her co-workers also ask her to order food for them.
Chicken chow mein, please, and a Coke.
The merchant sends her the payment link. She taps confirm, and within a few minutes, her food is delivered. Alice then views her transaction history and taps on the transaction recently made. Then taps the split the bill button where she selects the unevenly option and moves the bar to the desired amount per person. The request is then sent to her friends. Her colleagues accept the request and are ready to enjoy their meals. Geolocation and splitting the bill via eCash make Alice's life a whole lot easier.
When something is good and you can save, that makes it even better. Like this guy, he buys Flex bundles using his promo credit. No worries when his primary credit is finished. He gets talk, text, and data for free. Or her, she calls her family internationally with her promo credit. And with data packages so affordable, she even does video calls. Smart continues to offer great deals and affordable promotions. As a small business owner, she saves when she uses her promo credit to call the other guys. All Smart customers enjoy more triple days and knowing they can use their promo credit, which just lasts longer. Smart, bringing people together.
And we're back just like that. No time.
Yeah, that was way too much fun in that last conversation. And we weren't even in the water with the sharks. But I love people with passion. I love people who are passionate about what they do. Dr. Graham has been visiting us for so long here on the show. We always get an update on the work, and from Jamal and Clara to be able to tell us a bit of how they have been working as well. So imagine, we'll be doing a household census in Belize, and we'll be doing a shark census in the water.
Ooh, and we could take
and
part in that.
You're going to knock on the doors, and you're going to...
you could hear her, right? She bring the jazz music and all that.
You strap some meat to your hand, you put it in, and that's how they come. You can't come to them.
Oh, no, this? You guys seeing this? But it's something that I grew up doing. Thanks to my late uncle Martin Reyes, I used to go out every Saturday or Sunday. We used to go out fishing, and we used to see these things. So it's something that'd be exciting to do, or excited to do. But we've got to go. We're totally out of time. Thank you to everybody who joined us this morning. And of course, you there at home, without you, this is not possible. As you wake up, you open your eyes, and you start your morning right with us. So with that said, if you've got any questions, any concerns, drop us a line at oye@channel5belize.com.
And of course, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram. But remember to tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 when you open your eyes.
To start your morning right, as per usual, keep your eyes, your minds,
and your hearts open. We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day, Belize.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.